All right, PPTC Fit Fam. Today I got Don. How do you say your last name?
Woelke.
Woelke.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wasn't sure if you pronounced the L or not. But we got Don Woelke here today. And Don's been a part of the PPTC Fit Fam for what? 6 months? 8 months?
I
6
think we
months?
might be creeping up to 8 months.
Creeping up to 8 months, yeah. So he's been here for quite some time and seen a lot of progress and things like that. But we're just going to talk to Don because he does a lot more interesting things than just what we see at PPTC. So Don, why don't you just tell the people what you do in your day-to-day job? What's your work?
So I work in law enforcement. I've been in law enforcement for about 26 years.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to my assignment, I was in major crimes. And after maybe a year of major crimes, a position opened up where I'm doing child exploitation investigations, and that's been going on for about 8 years now.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So was there something specifically like, because, I'm a firefighter now, and I didn't know that I had a passion for that at first. I was a baseball player, always wanted to do that, an athlete. And I think I guess I like helping people because obviously I have this gym. This is a big thing of mine. It's something I want to continue and just watch people keep growing within. But I realized that firefighters do that as well. Did you feel like growing up that you had a calling? Is that something you wanted to do, or did you just kind of like fall into it one day? How did getting into law enforcement start?
So major crimes, we do a lot of investigations, whether it's burglaries, aggravated batteries. It could be a natural death. We investigate a lot of different crimes.
Shit.
I'm not saying it's rewarding, but when you're protecting children who really don't have a voice, that are very truly innocent, to me that's more rewarding than anything. And doing it day in and day out, I'd have to say I probably work 7 days a week, phones blowing up all the time, cases galore. It is something that isn't. You're never going to see a decrease in this. We're going to see an increase of this all the time because we might have a platform that gets shut down, and when one platform gets shut down, 5 others pop up. So, and that's what a lot of these is happening is that these predators are behind the keyboard, behind the phone, even behind video games, pretending to be someone who they're not, and luring these kids in to do something that they shouldn't be doing in the first place.
So do you feel like the reason for these big increase in cases is due to social media being such a big thing now and everybody having such access to it?
It's a little bit of everything. So first you have all the different platforms to choose. You have Snapchat, you have Twitter, you have Facebook. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Right.
You have that where kids are truly addicted to their phones. I mean, phones and video games is where it's at. I mean,
yeah, all the time.
Their phones are in front of their face all the time. And then nothing against the parents. So please, whoever is listening, don't take it personally. But
parents, it is your fault.
you get into that swing of things where work, is just so draining, and you come home and you really don't want to deal with a lot of things. So your kids are kind of doing things on their own for entertainment. Okay, so you have a little bit of everything that contributes to this. Perfect example. I'm sure everybody's heard of Fortnite.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
V-Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
You have V-Bucks to buy certain things in the game, whether it's a certain skin, I think it is. Certain thing. Right. So you'll have predators in the background pretending to be, underage, and they'll say, "Hey, if you do this or you show me this, I'll give you some V-Bucks." Well, then they do it, and then they come to find out it's an adult, and now that's where the extortion comes into play. Okay, now I got what I wanted. Now, if you don't give me more, I'm going to tell your parents. I'm going to put this onto your account so everybody sees what you're doing. And now they're going down this black hole that some of these kids do not know how to get out of because they're embarrassed, they're ashamed, they feel like they're going to get in trouble. So with all of that playing a factor, it's a huge problem.
Wow.
Nobody really thinks of it that way.
No, but yeah, I guess it's almost like, you see To Catch a Predator and things like that. So that's like what you're talking about. To Catch a Predator is kind of almost like basic entry level type shit.
Right.
Like, wow. So they're going a step further. They're like, how can we manipulate these little kids, not just into meeting us, but like putting them in a position where they feel like they need to listen to us.
Right.
And then you go down that rabbit hole, and then the kids, they're not grown up enough to think for themselves in that aspect. They're just getting used to doing their daily routine at this point.
Right. So as what we do, a lot of it is casework. I can't tell you how many people I've sent to prison, but we also try to educate. So we educate the parents and educate, what should they do on their end? That's their question all the time. I have 3 boys of my own, and my older ones, I did it to them all the time growing up. You can ask them, let me see your phone. Let me look through it real quick. I mean, if you have the responsibility to have a phone, then you need to be responsible for what you're doing on the phone. So let me see your phone. I'll see the phone. I'll go through everything.
Shouldn't have anything to hide, right?
And photos and different, platforms that they might have downloaded, and just make sure that they're not doing anything inappropriate.
Got it. So is that kind of, so the education process for the parents, is it basically kind of teaching them how to monitor their child without being a helicopter parent, or
pretty much, but then also making sure that the parent lets the kids know, their children know, they have a really good open communication. That way they know, okay, I can come to my mom and dad and know that I'm not going to get in trouble, that I'm not going to be looked at any different, and so they know that they feel comfortable coming to talking about it, because that's a huge problem, is that if they don't feel comfortable talking about it, they're going to keep going down the hole not knowing what to do, when at that point, I'm not going to say it's too late, but maybe they have met somebody, in person, maybe they, instead of that one photo that they sent out, maybe now they've sent 50 photos or videos out.
Jeez, man. So that I mean, I feel like I don't know how many people work in this specific thing with the kids, but I feel like we need a lot more people like you who are on this, because that's an amazing thing, man. I think we don't get enough education. Almost like you should go, because there used to be DARE, like, at schools, and like teaching kids about drugs and stuff, and I think we don't have that enough anymore. Like before, it wasn't like, oh, DARE's like this thing, like drugs are the worst thing in the world. It's like, if someone's approaching you about it, this is how you need to go about it. Almost like the same thing like that. So do you think like maybe we need to go a step further and start educating kids in that way?
We have a lot of, where I'm from with the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, we have SRO, school resource officers, and they do a lot of education and speaking as well to students to make sure that they know about internet safety. So we kind of more proactive stuff. But I will tell you, because I'm a part of so much, where I'm also assigned to internet crimes against children. So that means that I get tons of tips coming to me from all those platforms I was talking about. So like I can talk about it. It's not a big deal, but like say YouTube, kids like YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, I've had it where these kids will make a video inappropriate and then they'll throw it onto YouTube. And it's nobody coaching them to do that, but for some reason they just did it on their own behalf. So it's like we really have to educate these kids to let them know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate to begin with.
When you're educating them, do you kind of show, for example, me and my dad and my wife were at the Sam's the other day, and you know how they have the missing children poster. So we've been having not too much of an issue, but a thing where my daughter will want to go run off because she sees something she likes, kind of deal. And we're on top of it, so we don't let her get too far out of sight. We don't let nobody get around her that shouldn't be around her, kind of deal. But we're kind of teaching her, like, the only way we can protect you is if you stay next to us.
Right.
And, see these kids, and not to, like, scare her or, like, frighten her, but at the same time put a little bit of thought process in, like, hey, these kids potentially went missing because they weren't being able to be protected by their mommy and daddy, because maybe they left their house. Maybe they left the cart. Maybe they didn't hold their mom's hand. Maybe they went and ran off in the store and then their mommy couldn't find them anymore, and that's it. So we showed her these posters, and you could see those wheels just spinning, like, oh man, like what's up with that? Do you think that, like, how do you guys approach like educating these kids? Like, maybe you can go a little more detail on that for me, and for the people listening. Like, how do you educate these kids? It's almost like do you show them examples or
yeah? So basically, when a case is done and finalized, and that person has been sent to prison, it's kind of done and over with. So I can kind of go into more detail of the investigation. So I can tell these kids, okay, look, this is a perfect example, and I'll give them an example of something that's already has been in the past. Just like you said, to get their gears turning. When my kids were growing up, I did not want them to play on the PS with strangers. I wanted to keep it more like kids that they know in school, or on the baseball team or something to that effect. Why are you going to play with this just random stranger somewhere in the world
right.
that you have no idea that he's truly 14 years old?
Correct.
I mean, you don't.
Yeah, and how do you handle that? You know what I mean? Like, they don't know. Yeah. They have no idea. Like, no big deal. And not only that, but even if it's not super bad, maybe, they're introducing your kids to slang terms they don't need to know, or just continual cursing, or, and I'm not I'm okay with cursing. It's just that, there's a time and a place, and sometimes kids don't understand that, and then they run off on this thing, and then they don't understand, like maybe at a sporting event they're at or something like that, they start doing things, and you're like, where do you get this attitude from? Well, what is he doing in his off time? What is he or she doing in their off time where, they're being exposed to certain things like that? Because that's how kids learn. It's what they're exposed to. They don't just come up with things up top of their head, either by their parents, or kids are going to school with, or kids are talking exactly on the internet. So, rewinding, you had crimes first, and then you went more into the children.
Yeah.
What made you get into the children? Did you were you running on crimes where there were kids and it just hit your heartstrings, and you're like, I need to help out more in this area?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, besides some cases that I had in major crimes, and the gratification was just so great, knowing that I just protected this child, or I got, the ending result was great for them, plus having kids on my own, having kids on my own.
For sure, man. That changes your perspective a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. And luckily I don't have girls, I have 3 boys.
Yeah.
But it still means something to me knowing, because I have boy victims as well. It doesn't really matter if it's boy or girl.
Right.
So.
Right. No, it really doesn't matter. I feel like girls are a little bit smarter sometimes than boys. And boys, we do tend to play video games more and stuff like that. So that's fair. But, with everything being so readily available, girls are always wanting to get on their phone and apps and selfies and, send it to their friends and stuff. So it's not, like you said, it's either or. It's not really a certain group.
Right.
Do you guys find there's a certain age group that's usually being targeted more than others? Or is it all over the place? Yeah, because it's so... Yeah, it's that bad. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, I have some where even if they're not a victim yet, it's something that they did inappropriate. I think there was one that was like 6 years old, and I'm like, okay, I don't even know if I know how to post a video on YouTube, but they're, I'm like, they did.
6 years old.
Yeah,
my daughter's about to be 4. Yeah. I can only imagine.
So that's an education talk. That's talking about what they did. And again, I'm not asking the parents to be mad at their kid. It's a time for education, mainly. To make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah. And what do they do in that interim process of it happening?
Yeah, because if you show them right off the bat, if they truly made a mistake, and you truly show, okay, well, wait a second, I didn't get in trouble. My parents didn't yell at me. Then maybe the next time that something is bad,
hey, this is being weird. What's going on with this?
That they would probably feel more comfortable coming to them to say, hey, look, this just happened to me, and I don't think this is right. But if they don't have that comfort level, they might go down that hole.
So did you ever have was it ever hard for your kids, or were they always just like, yeah, here's my phone, or here's whatever? Or did you always have a...
Yeah, they gave me their phone.
Okay. Well, I'm sure they gave you their phone. I'm sure they did. Oh, man, that's funny. But so no issues, like, oh, no, that's good. That's a good thing. I mean, because, like, that's another thing, like, a lot of, since it's so readily available and everybody's got a phone now, it's almost like kids are like, oh, yeah, that's what I get when I get old enough, you know, kind of thing. It's not like a privilege anymore. It's like, oh, yeah, this is just supposed to happen.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, I don't even remember when my boys got their phones, but it was just a certain time with all these school shootings and stuff. It was kind of like, you kind of have to have it, just in case.
Yeah.
So it was, we were kind of pressured to go into it maybe a lot sooner than we were comfortable with, but again, just monitor it, making sure that they're not doing anything stupid.
Yeah, because I remember that I got my first cell phone, flip phone, old ones, back in high school. When I first entered high school.
Wasn't that the back phone?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. It was that, that's before you had any social media and none of that crap. I mean, I think Google just recently came out prior to me getting a phone. And the thing was, the reason I got the phone was because, I was always doing baseball, always doing after-school activities, so they wanted to be able to, I didn't have a car yet, so they wanted to be able to pick me up. They didn't want to have to sit there and wait for a long time, They wanted me to be able to go off and do what I needed to do and still be able to, not have to sit at the school for another hour or two before they came and got me, Just be able to have that clear communication. But all I had was call, and I think I had a certain amount of text at the time. It wasn't just everybody gets unlimited text like now. It wasn't part of your plan. So that's how I started out, and then I realized that my brother got his a little bit earlier, and then my sister got hers like in middle school, like early middle school, and kind of for the same thing in a way, but just like you said, everything got a little bit more dangerous already. It was like, you hear about all these shootings and potential bombings and stuff like that, and it's just like, what if something happens and I can't reach them? It's like.
And there's something too, like, and I've never done a podcast, so I do appreciate you inviting me today. But
I'm glad you
if there's something visual, I can actually give you. It's a list of all the top platforms that teenagers use, and it actually helps the parents know, okay, what's in that platform that I need to be looking for, because there's certain platforms that actually have secret places to hide photos, and I think Snapchat might be one of them. But I'll have to get my list, and it will actually help the parents. There's actually certain apps that you can download. I can download an app that's called Calculator. It's not a calculator. It's actually a hidden folder where I can take all of my photos and put it into this thing that looks like a calculator. Shit. So if that parent doesn't hit them, the parent might be like, oh, that's just a calculator.
Move on, because it doesn't look dangerous. Right. Wow. And fuck the piece of shit that made that damn app that said that was okay. Who thought that was okay? That's not okay, man. What the hell? I think you should have a certain age limit, like got to be 21 or 18 or something to use this.
What? That's what's weird about it, and I haven't looked into this yet, but apparently they signed a bill. It's been on the news where they actually are saying that it's against, I don't even think it's against the law, but it's a bill that they put into effect where, maybe we could look it up, but it's where at a certain age you cannot be on like social media. But how is that monitored when all you got to do is just type in a different age? Yeah, that's so
bullshit.
I don't know how you can control that.
All you have to do is the age limit is how old, how smart are you at that age to know that all you got to do is put a certain age in.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, like Robbie, you met Robbie. He comes here. He wanted to do sports betting. He's not old enough to do sports betting. So he just wanted to see it. I said, well, just put an age that makes sense.
Right.
And he's looking at the different teams.
Right. Yeah, I do remember because he's coming in here. Hey, what should I do for this one? No, but once again, exposing them to something like that, teach them how to be, hey, it's fun to do some things like this, but it's not fun to lose all your money because you have an issue. Right. You know what I mean? Like having fun with it, being able to enjoy time with your friends, because we all have a group here. It's no secret. Me, you, Roy, Nick. There's a few guys that, we enjoy throwing these, even Jay and Roy's sister, we enjoy throwing these bets in, going off of each other. It's just fun, and it's fun when we all hit and win money, and then we can all talk crap when we lose. So, it's fun, but it's also like we get to a point to where it's like, okay, well, I want X amount of money. Let me draw X amount out, so I'm not just spending. You gotta have an idea of when to cut it off. So exposing kids even to something like that at an early age to teach them, like, hey, it's just like the kids that I feel like I never had an issue with alcohol, drugs, or anything like that, and I'm an athlete my whole life. Went to college, through high school, been around it plenty of times. All kinds of drugs, alcohol. Never had one issue where I was like, oh, I feel like I should try this. Never got peer pressure where I was like, oh, well, they're saying I should. And I think it was because my parents told me, my dad straight up told me, hey, man, if you ever have something you want to try or do, I would rather you bring that thought to me. Let's talk about it. Let me give you an idea of what is actually going on with this kind of drug. Let's research it. Let me show you what is actually going to happen with this if you decide to do this.
Right. It's weird, though, because my boys, I think you met both of them. If not,
No, I met all three boys.
So they go to college up at UF, and they're in their second year of college, and it's weird because some of their people that they have grown up with, they actually look down upon because they don't drink. That's supposed to be
right.
the college life.
Right.
They have no desire of doing that. That's just them. That's the way they were brought up. I mean, I'm not going to be mad if they say, "Hey, Dad, I tried a beer tonight," but it's like they're just like, "No, I mean that's not me." So
right. I'm not.
There's one less thing I got to worry about.
Right. Yeah. 100%. And it's just being able to be exposed to that. Like, hey, it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay to do this, but I'm not saying you're going to get in trouble if you do this. Yeah. Let's talk about it. If you want to have a beer, maybe you try a beer with me your first time, and we could be at the house, and you're being in a safe environment where you're not out drinking with your friends, and you just keep going and going and going, and you don't really know your limit. You don't know how many you're able to consume. And then you go out and get in trouble, or get a DUI or something crazy, and God forbid, and then. Now you're going down that rabbit hole. I
think that's how I think I remember sitting on the couch and my dad was like, "You want to try this?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." And I just took a sip. I'm like, "Okay."
It's all right. But yeah, it's not taboo. It's like, okay, cool, man. So it's okay to drink, but you're at the house right now, hanging out, doing absolutely nothing. Don't plan on driving tonight. It's a lot of factors that go into it, man. Where you really think about it. Exposing them to a certain level, and like you said, opening that door of connection, saying, hey, it's okay to come talk to me about these things. These things aren't necessarily bad, not necessarily something I want you to get into, but at the same time, if you come to me with it, we can talk about it, and we can do things in a safe environment to where you at least have an experience with it. Don't feel pressured to do it outside of here, and we can all work it out for the good. So I think that's very important. So let's fast forward through. So we're going through your whole career, whole job. So let's go to where we met. Okay. So we met through Robbie, right?
Yes.
So you were bringing Robbie in here. You basically knew me as a speed, strength, conditioning, basically an athlete coach, because the boys were coming in for 2-3 years before you joined. I think somewhere around there. It was for maybe 2 years.
Yeah, they were just doing speed and agility.
Speed and agility for an hour with the team. Yep. And at that point in time, Robbie needed to be pushed, which is fair for a lot of kids his age. Almost all of them needed to be pushed. Very rarely we had a whole group of kids, 12, 13 years old, that didn't need to be pushed. There might have been one or two of the group that were working super, super hard. Yeah. But he started getting better, started coming around, started getting more in shape. Knowing me as a strength and conditioning coach, and really Roy too, as an athlete kind of coach, what drew you in to start coming to PPTC? Like you just made this. One day you looked at me, you're like, hey, I want to try this summer gig you got going on, because we had in the summer we like to give deals to all our clients, and we had this big 3-month deal where you can get a super sweet deal, come unlimited times, and you're like, I think me and Robbie need to jump on this and really, really get a handle on our fitness and health. And at that time, you just had known me as an athlete coach. So what made you think I think this is the place that I need to start going?
So this is a long story. So
okay.
So Robbie was in baseball, and there was a time that he came to me and said, I want to do marksmanship. He's a high school student at Mariner High School, and he goes, I want to try out for marksmanship. I had never taken him shooting ever. Didn't even know how this is going to pan out.
Got the marksman team shirt on. Hell yeah.
And so I was like, okay, and we've always supported our boys. So whatever they wanted to do, as long as they're doing something active, that's all that matters to us. So he decided to try out. Prior to that, I took him to the range like twice. Never took him before. It was. I don't even think I had taken the twins that early, so he was kind of like privileged to actually go to the range that early in his age. So I took him 2 times. His groupings were good, not bad. Wasn't on target for sure, but the groupings were there. Just needed to kind of be over.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, we could work with this. But there was 16 kids were trying out, and it was like a week-long process. And there's 3 different positions: kneeling, prone, and standing. And you've gone to shoot center, I think, before.
Yep. So, I've been there plenty of times.
It's hard to concentrate on shooting when you get a 50 caliber right next to you, going off every 2 seconds.
Sure.
So he's doing the best he can. So he goes through the process, and results were on a Friday. So I drop him off, and I literally pull around the little bin, and I went into a parking space, and I'm literally typing up a text message, and I said, Robbie, don't worry about it. We're going to get where you need to be. If this is something that you want, we're going to support you. We're going to get you there.
Okay. Knowing
that he's probably not going to make it because they were only taking like I think 6 kids out of the 15 that were trying out. Never shot before,
Sure.
And I'm texting it just to have it, ready to go. And my phone goes off. He's calling me from the school, and he goes, Dad, I made it. And I'm like, delete. I was like, I was like, that is unbelievable. I was so proud of him.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So at that point, we had to make a decision because marksmanship is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. A lot of practice. And then we also had baseball, so I was like, okay, something needs to kind of give.
Sure.
And I knew that he was never really into baseball 100%. I knew he always tried, but he just didn't have that drive like I saw his brothers. And I think maybe that he fell into that category, like, oh, I need to play baseball because my brothers play baseball type attitude. So he decided to kind of put baseball, to the side and said, you know what, I want to concentrate on marksmanship. So marksmanship, I have to tell you, being in law enforcement and going to the range, we are trained to shoot center mass, shoot to kill, basically. That's just the way it is.
Sure.
Not shooting basically the size of a quarter, and that's what they're trained to do is shooting the size of a quarter.
Wow.
And hitting the center of it.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I was like, it's very intense. It's very mentally, draining. It's physically because you're shooting for an hour in all these different positions, holding this rifle. So it's definitely something that was eye-opening to me. So knowing that he needed to kind of be a little bit more physical, a little bit more flexible. He's very, very stiff. Because some of these positions, especially the kneeling position, I can't even get in the kneeling position.
It's hard.
It's hard.
You're like sitting back on your back leg. It's very weird.
Yes, very awkward.
It's awkward, yeah.
So I told him that we needed to start making, some changes because if that's what he wants, we need to put in 100% effort.
Yeah.
So one day he came to me and he was like, Dad, he goes, I want to start working out. He's going to kill me for saying this. So I knew he needed to kind of go down that road because, again, hopefully he doesn't listen to this.
We won't tell him it happened.
He kind of had these little boy movies. That's really what it was, And I'm
man!
And I knew he was very self.
He knew
because every time I would see him, he would be pulling his shirt, kind of like
he didn't like
very
the feeling,
uncomfortable,
right?
So at that point, I had to kind of make a decision. I was like, I can't just say, okay, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. I said, we're going to do this together. You're going to push me, but I'm going to push you because at that time I was creeping up to 297 pounds. That was probably my second highest because I have tipped over 300 pounds before.
Oh, shit.
And I've done different diets in the past, keto, and keto was always my go-to because you lose a lot of weight,
you do,
a lot of fat.
Sure.
But at some
and you
point,
get to still eat some good foods on keto.
Yeah, but at some point you're like, I don't want to eat meat anymore.
Right,
and
fair.
It really sucks.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
So I said, okay, we're going to do this together. And this, I would say that this is my first time. I've always been a visual person, so I always wanted to see that scale move. But knowing that I'm now going to work out and probably gaining muscle but losing fat, I'm probably not going to see that scale even budge or even actually increase, which is going to be there. It's going to mind blow me because this is not going to be good.
Right. It's going to be hard. Yeah. Sure.
So I knew you guys from baseball coming in here, sitting there over there in the corner and watching, just visually watching, Roy, you training these kids, and I'm like, I would much rather be in this atmosphere than a gym that's very intimidating and not knowing where the hell I'm even doing. Why am I lifting this, and what is it working?
Correct.
I mean, with you guys, I have leg day, I have arm day, I have shoulder day, I have back day. There's different days for different body parts.
Absolutely.
I'm not a trainer. I wouldn't know that if I'm sitting here dumping $25 a month at another gym and just walking in and be like, okay, I guess I could look at the chart and be like, oh, this machine does this body part, and I start doing it. It's not going to make any sense to me.
True, man.
So again, like you said, special on the summer, and I was like, okay, Robbie, we're gonna do this together, and it was. I'd have to say it was the best decision I've ever made. You guys are unbelievable, and I really wish that people would look at you guys a lot. You guys I think are small.
Compared to what we could be, yes.
Yeah, and I don't think people. I really wish people would give you guys a chance because the results that I saw. Again, we're talking 8 months now.
Yeah.
297 all the way down to 236. 236 that I'm at right now.
Unbelievable.
From 297, from a 42-inch waist size pants all the way down to a 34.
Holy shit.
I'm wearing Robbie shirts.
Wow.
I mean, that's how crazy it's been for me. Now, Robbie, he's lost 20 pounds. As a kid, that's pretty damn good.
That's amazing.
You don't want to, a kid shouldn't, have to do,
And not only that, but he just had a little bit of chub. It was different between you and him because you had a lot more to lose than he did.
Yeah.
You were, like you said, you were pushing the scales at 300, where he might have had, like where he is right now, maybe 30 extra pounds that he shouldn't have had, right?
Yeah.
So now, I just posted the whole, I don't know if you've seen what I posted yesterday, but it was about results.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so you see just in the pictures, he had the little man boobies.
Yeah.
And now it's a totally different story. He's actually starting to develop a little chest.
Yeah.
The stomach's flat. I could tell because Robbie used to be the kid that would come in here and you thought he was shy. And now I'm realizing it wasn't that. He was just I feel like he felt a little embarrassed with the way he felt and the way he looked.
Right.
And because now he's coming in here, he's shooting the shit, he's talking his shit, he's having a good time. And it's awesome to see this different person come out and see. That's what you and I appreciate what you're saying because with people not investing their thoughts and time into being at a place like PPTC, for the simple fact that that's what we look for. People, a lot of gyms are just looking for the overhead. They're looking for people to come in and they want to see more people come in. I would rather have just one or two extra people come in every other week and be able to put a little bit of focus into them, even if they're just doing group training, just like I did with you guys. Make sure what you're eating is good.
Right.
Make sure that that your workouts, how your workouts are done, why you're doing them, and blocking them off so that even for the people just doing boot camp and the board workouts, we want to make sure that they're doing things that they can actually do, not starting at a high level where everybody else is and being like, well, I can't do what these people are doing. We want to make sure that everybody starts somewhere. These people have been here for 3 years.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be as good as them, and if you are, why did you come to me? You know what I mean? So I think that I really appreciate you saying that, because our joy and our thought process is in seeing that change in Robbie, seeing him come in here and having a good time and enjoying himself and having a little bit of confidence to be like, yeah, I can do that. Where before he'd be like, nah. He wouldn't even. Matter of fact, he wouldn't even say no, because he would have been over somewhere else, knowing that you were going to ask him to do something like that, and going, I'm not doing that shit. I'm gonna walk over here, away from everybody, And now it's not like I know there's going to be times where he's going to have to. Hey, we're going to still go to the gym. But there's more times often than not where he's doing it for himself, like pushing himself.
Yeah, he's excited to come.
Right.
The time,
Right. Yeah.
And what I find beneficial also with your place is, and I kill myself for not keeping her name in my mind. It's
Kirsten.
The one in the morning.
Yep. Yeah.
The one in the morning.
The one in the morning.
But,
the Cuban redhead.
I had
she's the best.
Sciatic, pain sometimes, and she knew that I had it, and she showed me these exercises or stretching, and I did them, and after I got done with them, it was gone, and I was like, holy cow! You go to a big facility,
never
get
getting
anybody to talk to.
Let me tell you this much: not even do you have anybody to talk to, but you can go somewhere, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus or names under the bus, but I know like a Platinum Fitness, they're huge,
right?
And I feel like they're so big to a point that they're not even, if you're telling them about that, they might modify the workout for you, but they're not telling you how to get rid of that pain.
Yeah.
They're not teaching you how to get rid of that pain. That is the most important part, because this thing, I say it in so many videos, this thing is a lifetime journey. You're never going to stop. When you hit one goal, you can't just stop, because you're going to lose everything. So you're going to hit that goal, and then you're going to be like, well, now I want to lose an extra 5 pounds, or now I want to see my abs more. There's always something that comes after that, right, to keep going.
I was telling Rory about that. Like, I almost feel like at my point right now, I feel like it's an addiction. It
yes.
really is.
Because you want to see more.
Yeah, because I come in here every day. It's usually right after I drop off Robbie at school, so I have my first workout.
Yep.
I go to work. I pick up Robbie later after school. I come in here and I get a second workout.
Correct.
I'm probably not the norm. Yeah,
There's maybe 1 or 2 people that would enjoy doing that. Other than that, no, you're not the norm.
Yeah. And then I get my run in. I try to run a mile every day, but then I try to incorporate 3 miles once a week.
At least get a full total of 3 miles.
Yeah. So, I'll do a 3 mile.
Do a 3 mile run at least once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my sister runs 5Ks all the time, and I always admired that. I always thought
it's not easy.
She's older than I am, but she runs all the time. And I was like, that was kind of like one of those things. It's like I want to get to that level where it's like if I want to go run a 5K, then I'm going to go run a 5K.
I can do it.
And so my very first 5K was with my son Jimmy. He came down for Thanksgiving, and we run a turkey trot over at Hertz Arena. And it was just me and him, and we went, registered, and ran the 5K.
Look at that. And you did no problem.
No problem at all.
There you go, man. That's what it's about. And you would have despised running when you first came here.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be like, hell no, man, I'm not doing that.
I think we talked about that in the academy. Like, I want to say the so-called bare minimum that you had to run like a mile and a half was it like
30.
It was more than that. I thought it was like close to like 16 minutes.
16 minutes, but that sounds right.
And now I'm running my mile and running my mile and stuff for like 9 minutes.
Yeah, and that's at just a regular pace. It's not even killing yourself. That's just to get a run in. Yeah, you could probably run it faster than that. I've seen you run. But yeah, man, I think your journey has been amazing, and you have a big testimonial just to say, hey, it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter what you're doing in your life. Like, you're a super busy guy, and you're making it here twice a day. And, that just goes to speak volumes to everybody who thinks they're being bogged down by their work. And, man, if I do this, I'm going to be super tired.
Well, that's the thing. Not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
And that's the thing that I had to wake up one day, because I used to be that person where work came first. Because, I have tons of cases, okay? There's not a day that goes by that I go into work and I'm just twiddling my thumbs. Like,
it's always going to be there, right?
Yeah. So at what point do you say, okay, I need to come first. My work, I'll get to it when I can. I can't save the world in one day. So that's the change that people need to make, of saying, okay, I need to do this for myself so I can live a lot longer or feel good about myself or look better for myself. I'll get the work done when I get it done.
The work's going to be there.
Yeah.
Right. 100%, man. And that's also, like, in the future, people don't think about it. I was saying it's a lifetime journey. Like, think about this. Like, you don't have any grandkids yet?
No.
So think about this. Think about 10, 15 years down the road, you have grandkids. And even maybe 20 years down the road. And you go to an amusement park or something like that. You're going to keep this fitness thing going. And then you're going to go to that amusement park and you're going to be able to literally walk everywhere with those kids. You're going to be able to hang out with them. You're going to be able to play with them. You're not going to lose energy. You're literally going to be in the same boat as everybody else that's on this trip. Whereas you have a lot of older people who don't stay with the fitness journey and they get 60, 70, 80 years old and now they can't do anything but walk to their fridge. And that's even hard sometimes. So, that is really, people don't think about that, but that's really what we're looking for. When we get to our later years, we can have a good quality of life if we're actually still putting the work into our bodies, putting the time into our health and ourselves. And I think that's what makes us a little bit different than a lot of other gyms, is because we think about that for you. Like, I know you don't want to stretch today. Do it. I promise you. Not only are you going to feel better today, but when you get older, you're not going to be walking around holding your lower back going, man, I don't know why this is hurting. Now you're going to understand why it's hurting because we taught you why it's hurting. We taught you your muscle groups. We're teaching you how to stretch it, why it's hurting. Oh, well, my lower back, oh no, that's not my lower back. That's my upper butt, which is called the piriformis muscle, which actually gives referred pain to your lower back. And if I just do some butt stretches and some hamstring stretches and stretch out my psoas muscle and my hip flexors, then all that pain goes away and I can walk like a regular person again instead of like an old man, or an old lady. So these are different things. Like you were just talking about, you had to wake up and, figure out that this came before work. Let me ask you something. Doing this and getting in the shape you're in now compared to where you were, do you find that your work comes easier? Are you better at your job? Are you having more energy? Are you getting, because I know sometimes we can get a little flustered and upset. Like, are you able to control those emotions a little bit better at your work because dealing with what you deal with is not an emotional job, you know what I mean?
Yeah, work is still stressful. I mean,
sure.
Just because of what I do, but definitely more energy, I would have to say.
Okay.
So more energy, but my job is what it is. I mean,
absolutely.
It's, if I could add on like a few more hours through the day, that'd be great. But, I only have so many hours in the day to work, but it's just trying to find that more healthy balance.
And how about going from there to be able to work out again and then go watch Robbie do what he's doing?
Easy to me.
Easy to you now. Yeah. And I know you were still there for him before, but I mean, do you feel a different level of like, well, we're gonna go do this tonight instead of like, you know what I mean?
That and it's almost like he's my little buddy. It's like
yeah, you guys got this tight bond now. Yeah, gym buddies, shooting buddies. That's cool, man. Heck yeah, I love that.
But the other thing too that to circle back about, you were saying a few things about other gyms and making the change is the app that you guys use for booking your appointment.
Yeah,
I like that because again, if you go to a regular gym, you're just going to go when you can. But
right.
I feel like when I book with you guys and I've
got to make it
7, my butt better be here, by 7 o'clock.
Right.
Or I'm here from Rory, or I text Rory, like, Rory, I'm running a little bit late. He's like, no, get here.
Get your ass here. Let's go. I'm still here. Don't worry. You're not getting out that easy.
So I like booking the appointment.
Awesome, man. I love it. Yeah, no, that's why we implemented that. Actually, I started back in 2016. So I was at a different location, a smaller location, obviously. And I didn't add Roy on until after COVID. So from 2016 to 2020, it was just me. And in the summer of 2019 is when we moved to this gym. We had just gotten big enough to move in. We had summer of 2019. We moved in. Everything was good. And then, of course, we had COVID in 2020, so that kind of sucked. But then we were able to get Roy in and start doing all these different kind of things. And we wanted to create a system where people weren't just showing up through the door. And I was like, and not only that, but for my trainers, because I'm thinking that once again, I'm always forward thinking down the road, like, okay, I'm going to have more trainers now. We got Patrick, so I always want to keep growing this business and have other people involved, quality people that are going to help you guys still, just like Roy does now. Like, he's amazing.
Yeah.
So I want to keep.
When I come here, I mean, I come in here, my chart is right there in front of me. All of my weights are in front
ready
of me.
To go.
It's like a no-brainer.
Exactly, man. And that's the whole point. We just want you guys to be able to come in here, get your workout in, and we always have also at the same time we do that, so you don't have to think about what you're doing, but in the same breath, we keep that door open, that open door policy to say, hey, man, if you have any questions, if something's hurting, if, you feel like, you just don't got it today, like you're sick or something like that, or, you got an injury to whatever body part that we're working that day, like, let us know so that we can modify whatever it is, tend to that injury, but modify so that you're not hurting yourself, even more. So, and you're not just going to get that going to day play. Just the fact. So going through your fitness journey, going through everything you've been through, and seeing how far it's brought you in your personal life with your son, the whole 9 yards. If you could tell the people like something just to motivate them, just say like, this is why I did this. This is something maybe you should look into. What would you say? And I'm not looking for like a quote or anything like that. I'm just looking for what would be some, real, like, logical, base level advice that you could give to somebody to say, hey, if you're not doing this, or if you were thinking about this for a while and you haven't jumped on it because of whatever excuse, finances, don't have enough time, the whole 9 yards. What do you think that you could tell somebody to be like, hey, you should get on this journey and you should start now?
So it might sound extremely corny, okay?
Go for it. But, I like corny.
But the thing is it's almost like you got to commit, but you also don't give up. And that's the biggest thing is that I have seen people join, but I never see them again. I have seen some new faces come in, and I'm like, hey, that's a new one for you. And then like a week goes by, and I'm sitting there scratching my head, like, I don't see them again. And it's like, why? So I think for me, it was, for me, I don't think I stepped on the scale for like 2 or 3 months, but I could see the change in my pants. I could see, okay, I just went from the very last hole on my belt to now, oh wait, now I'm going down another one. Oh wait, I need to go up a more. So it's like always seeing the change, but to give up just because you don't see something in a week. I think the listeners need to know that you got to commit. Commit to the change. Commit to, okay, this is going to give you the results that I need, because I'm not going to say I was skeptical. I left it up to you guys.
You trusted the process.
I figured, okay, sure. if I follow exactly everything you're telling me to do, there shouldn't be any reason at the end of the day I'm not going to see some type of results, and it's a fact. We did change eating. Okay, so people need to make a change in eating. We don't have a lot of junk in the house. But we still, like I was telling you about keto. Okay, you jump on keto, but at some point you hate meat. I don't want to have a steak anymore.
Right, I'm tired of steak.
Yeah, I want to have some fruit, but fruit is sugar. So you can't really have fruit on keto.
Right.
But
it's got carbs.
On a low calorie diet, you can have fruit.
Absolutely. So fruit's great for a low calorie diet. Absolutely.
I can have cauliflower pizza. I like cauliflower
100%.
Pizza all the time.
Yep.
So there's just certain things that you can have a lot more variety of. You just have to, again, just count your calories throughout the day and make sure you don't go over. And also, you guys showed me a lot about getting your protein in.
Protein's huge.
High protein is the key, and just trying, which is hard. Which is
very hard to do high protein and actually hit your calories.
Yeah.
You actually wind up, and what I mean by that is not going over them. It's actually hard to hit your protein and not be super under your calories, because protein just makes you so full.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point, though. Like, because your body now it has something to work with. It has something to work off of. And there's a couple things that with protein, like the satiety index, how full you feel when you eat protein. The thermogenic effect, your body has to work harder to break protein down. There's a lot of different factors that factor into it.
Yeah. So I've done the shakes, the stuff that has higher protein in it. So I'm doing very well on that. But there's not a day that goes by. It's like I'm scratching my head and like, oh, I wish I could eat that. I'm still eating pretty much anything that I want. It's just within moderation, and just make sure that I kind of spread it out throughout the day. If I treat myself to this, then I just know that I can't have something later on. I love ice cream. I'll eat ice cream all day.
Oh, hell yeah.
But there's a brand, I think it's called High Top. I think it's called.
Yep.
It's actually high in protein.
It is.
And very, I could have the whole pint for I think the cookies and cream is 290 calories.
Can't beat
that. I'll eat that too.
He's like, hell yeah.
I'll eat it. I'm not going to have just a couple of spoonfuls. I mean, if that's only 290 calories,
I'll save my 290 calories for the other night.
So, for listeners, don't give up. You gotta commit to something. Better choices. But also, you see me post on my Facebook page, of my results.
Absolutely.
I think I might even have a little 2-pack going on right now.
Yeah, you do, man. Still working on it. You do.
But, I've had a lot of people come out and be like, okay, what gym is this? Where are you going? I need to go. But they haven't made the step. They haven't made the jump. And there's a lot of people that will just talk about how they want this, but they also don't take the leap. And I think you were even running a special at that time. I'm like, okay, now
if it was in January, I was.
Let's do. You need to do it now. Come with me. And nothing.
They didn't show up. No. Yeah, and that's the thing. You got to show up for yourself. You got to say, you got to draw the line and say, that's it. I'm going to do this, just like you did. You're like, that's it. And if my son's telling me he needs to go do this and he's going to do it for a sport, what better time to jump in and do it myself?
I don't want to use the word embarrassing because I don't want to scare people, but it was awkward at first because here I am at 297 trying to do this, and I see your professionals here, the people that have been here for years, just nailing 4 reps of this board out, and I'm just like, I can't even go through 2. Now I'm going through 4.
Correct.
So you'll get there, but it's baby steps.
Baby steps.
I'm sitting here lifting little weights that maybe a kid could weigh, and now I'm dropping your 55-pound dumbbells like it's nothing.
Yeah, we're putting more weight. Actually, you're doing more than 55 now. I've been watching.
So, it's all about don't get discouraged. Know that it's going to come as long as you stick with it. That the results will definitely be there. I'm happy with it. I think right now I'm probably the best shape that I have been my whole life.
Absolutely. Honestly. You're doing an amazing job, man.
I never played sports in high school. That's probably why I push our boys so hard in what they do, is because I remember growing up, I was playing baseball. I remember clear as day. I was back in the day. They didn't rake fields. They didn't rake the dirt. You just played.
Right.
Even in the baseball field, it's just the way it was.
Sandlot, baby.
And I remember the ball was hit to me. It hit a rock that was in the dirt area, and it came up, hit me in the nose. Blood is going everywhere. And I told my parents, I was like, I don't want to play baseball anymore. And they were like, okay. And that was it. I never played it anymore.
Wow.
When I was in high school, all the coaches, you need to come play basketball. I never had that person to be like, you need to do this. You need to give it a try.
Yeah.
I just was like, nope, I'm not going to do it. No. So me being active and healthy and strong and all that, just because I was involved, it just was never there. I think now, 51 years old, I'm probably the strongest and the healthiest I've been.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Don. I know they say firefighters are heroes, but what you do, I truly think you are a hero, man. I think it's awesome. Taking care of kids and our next generation, and teaching some of these parents in the world how to help their kids, I think is huge, man, because I don't think we have that enough, and enough of you to go around. But thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate your time, and I'll see you Monday for a workout.